Um, so, new section. It's not necessarily new. So if you look at the title of the section where it says complementary and supplementary angles, we have talked about that. We're just going to dive a little bit deeper into these. So as a quick little review, just what these mean, when we start talking about the idea of complementary angles, keep in mind they have to be two only. So it must just be two. So two angles whose sum, so that means when we add these two angles up, they've got to be 90 degrees. First ones, all we're going to do is talk about what they look like, how we can determine if they are, so on and so forth. So these first three problems, A, B, and C, we're going to identify a pair of complementary angles. So if you look, you are given three angles, angle B, angle A, and angle C. We want to talk about which one of those would be considered, or which one of those two would be considered complementary angles to each other. All we're looking for are the two that add up to be 90 degrees. All right, so as simple as that. So if we look at these three, the only combination of angles that add up to be 90 degrees is angle A, which is 40 degrees, and angle C, which is 50 degrees. If we added those up, 90 degrees, those would be considered complementary angles. And then that's it. That's all we're doing with that right now. Letter B. Quick little review here. We talked about it last week. You quizzed on it. You saw that on the quiz, but this little square here means that those two lines that it is connecting with that square tells us this is a 90-degree angle. Well, if these two lines make up a 90-degree angle, don't the angle 4 and the angle 3 together, here and here, don't those have to add up to give you the overall angle? So in this case, we would say angle 3, a little ahead of myself there, angle 3 and angle 4 are our complementary angles. Let's see, do see real quick, this should not be a big ask. I think everybody can understand these couple problems. So what two angles in there would we consider our complementary angles? All right, so not a lot of choice here, right? Isn't this already 90? So there's no way that's going to be a complementary. It's got to be two all the time. So the two angles that would add up to be 90, here's 55, here's 35, add those up. Those got to be your 90-degree angle. So it's just angle M and angle Q. Okay, so that's complementary angles. Those are different ways that you could see these in problems here in a minute. We also talked about supplementary, but we're going to review that again. Supplementary angles are also two angles, so they're similar in that sense. They're also similar in the sense that you got to add them together, but now they're going to add up to be 180 degrees. So if you look at this next set of problems, identifying a pair of supplementary angles, if you look at letter A, just figure out which one of those two, and these I want you to justify, so we're going to write out what that means or why. So give me the two angles. All right, and Jacob, what two angles you got? Good. Angle E and angle G, he said. In terms of the justification for this, it's really kind of, I'm sure we all got that. Just the reason we know that is the sum is 180 degrees. Okay. That's an easy justification. If you look at B, we don't have the angle measures at all. So we're going to have to rely on a little bit different information. But if you look at angle B, this is what that quiz was on that we just talked about and that you took last week. Remember how we had what was called a linear pair? So don't these two angles, the angle 5 and then the angle 4, don't those two angles make up that straight line? Remember, a linear pair, a line has 180 degrees, always. So the angle 4 and angle 5. You really didn't have a whole lot of options there, right? I mean, it's the only two angles I gave you. But then now the justification for this is because they are a linear pair. Don't tell me they add up to be 90 degrees or 180 because we don't know their degrees, but we do know that they make a straight line, and a pair of angles that make a straight line always add up to be 180. Okay. All right, and letter C. Do letter C real quick. As a hint, there's more than one set of supplementary angles here. All right, Gael. You got one, Gael? Good. So angle G and angle H, he said. So the 100 and the 80, those are considered supplementary angles. But then he also said 110 and 70 should add up to be 180. So J and K are supplementary angles. Okay. That's sort of the basic idea. They add up to be 90 or they add up to be 180. So now as we give you problems with these, it still is that idea. Okay. All right. Number 3. Look over here. I give you this diagram. And we want to go through and identify all of these now. Complementary, supplementary, vertical, adjacent, and then linear angles or linear pair. Do number 1 real quick. That one we should be able to do. So look at the graph and identify if we have any complementary angles and what they are. All right. Ellie, what you got, Ellie? Good. Angle 3 and angle 2. Here's the little block, little square that says that this angle here and this angle here are 90 degrees. And then that angle over here is comprised of angle 2 and angle 3. So those have to add up to be 90. All right, supplementary. Write down what you think we have regarding supplementary angles. Okay, anybody think they have a pair of supplementary angles? Let's see what we do for this one. Think about what supplementary is. We just did it at the top of the paper. Yeah, Dahlia? Yeah. Not quite. Because here's 1. Here is 3. So they kind of form this straight line right here. But notice how I wasn't able to draw in the complete arc. Okay, good. 5 and 4 I like. So angle 5 and angle 4, because here is this straight line right here. And I can create that straight line with 180 degrees by adding 4 and 5 together. Did everybody get that one? Okay, anybody got any others, or is that it? Here's a hint. There's another one. So find the other one. Other pair. That one, honestly, when I was kind of looking at this with first period, as I looked at it, that was the pair I went to. And a girl threw out another pair, and I was like, wow, you're right. I wasn't even paying attention that close myself. So there is another pair. Yeah, what do you think? Something you just popped in. Let me see if somebody put this in the chat. Okay. Oh, is that what it was? All right, Justin. What do you got, Justin? Good. Don't we also have a straight line right here? And then that straight line is comprised of these two angles. I can complete this arc with angle 4 and angle 3. So we would also have angle 4 and angle 3. All right. Good, Justin. All right, vertical angles. Go do this one. This is the one that I see the most mistakes with when we eventually start doing problems regarding this, thinking that things are vertical angles when they're not. So identify what you think are vertical angles in this problem. As a hint here, there's only one pair. So just be careful of that, because traditionally over the years, people would think that there's more than one pair. There's only one pair of vertical angles here. All right, Dahlia, what do you think, Dahlia? It is not 1 and 4, but that's okay. This is one of the things that I know every year people start thinking vertical angles are not necessarily what they are. So look at my diagram down here. Here's how we introduce vertical angles. The reason it was easy before, we normally just gave you 2 lines. And we talked about the opposite angle on the opposite side of it. So when it's only these 4 angles, 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's easy to see. 2 and 4 are opposite of each other. 1 and 3 are opposite of each other. Those are our vertical angles. But it's not just opposite of each other. They have to be angles created by the exact same 2 lines. So if I look at these 2 lines, isn't angle 2 and angle 4, aren't they created by the same 2 lines? Angle 1 and angle 3, those are created by the exact same lines. So if I look at angle 1 and 4 that Dahlia gave us, look at the lines that are forming this. So don't we really have 1, 2 here, and then angle 1 is here and here. So this is the same line, right? This horizontal line, that's the same line. But notice how the black and the red are not the same line. That's why we wouldn't want to say 1 and 4, even though they're opposite of each other, they're across from each other. That's certainly one of the things we look for. They're not created by the same 2 lines. All right. Anybody want to try a different set? Gael, what do you think? Okay, so he's saying 5 and 3. So let's look at angle 5. Angle 5 is created by this line and this line, although I missed the line there. Ooh, that's really bad. Let me try that again. So these are definitely across from each other, just like 1 and 4 were across from each other. So these are across from each other. Was angle 5 and angle 3, are those both created by those 2 red lines? Yeah, right? So because those are created by the same red line and they're directly across from each other, those are the only pair of vertical angles. Okay. Let me just show 5 and 2, why 5 and 2 is not good. Angle 5 and angle 2 are opposite of each other. But notice, angle 5 is made by these 2 lines. Angle 2 isn't. Angle 2 is made by one of them, but angle 2 is also made by this line here, which has nothing to do with angle 5. Okay? So just be careful of that. That's one where people start just looking across from it and thinking that anything across from it's a vertical angle, and it wouldn't be. Okay? All right, now, adjacent angles, you got a bunch of them. So write down your adjacent angles, and as a hint, you should get a bunch of them. Clean this up. Eraser doesn't work. Can't get my eraser to work. Crappy. I don't know what's going on. There we go. All right. So we should have a few of these. Come in there. Uh-oh. Probably good class almost over because this thing is freezing up. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to be able to write them, so let's just say them. Anybody got a pair of adjacent angles? What's one pair of angles at? Adjacent just means next to each other. So you have your neighbor at your house, they're adjacent to you. Notice how you have, a lot of you anyway, probably have a neighbor on each side. So you would have two adjacent angles. Now we just want a pair. So what's one set of adjacent angles? What is going on here? Nobody, huh? Good. So angle 1 and angle 5. Thank you, Justin. I can't write this. As you can see, I don't know if you can see my little mouse moving. It's not writing anything. But angle 1 and angle 5, notice how they're right next to each other. So those are adjacent. All right, Alexis. Good. 3 and 4 are right next to each other. Who does? Hala, what do you think, Hala? Good. 2 and 3 are right next to each other. Good. Dahlia? Good. 5 and 4. I think there's one more set here. Alexis? Good. And then 2 and 1. Really, we could just go right around a circle, right? 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, 5 and 1. All right, so we got a lot of them. All right, and then the last one, linear pair. Write down what you think for linear pair. And sorry, I can't write these down right now, so hopefully you're writing them. Try this. Yeah, this is weird. This now should be really, really, really easy, because haven't we already kind of answered this question? So a linear pair, hopefully you can still see my little mouse moving. A linear pair forms a straight line. Aren't linear pairs supplementary angles if they form a straight line? So your answer for linear pair, shouldn't it really just be the exact same thing that we got for our supplementary angles up here? So angle 5 and angle 4 make this horizontal line. So those are linear pairs. And then angle 3 and 4 right here, those are also a linear pair. Okay. All right, and then I think we can talk about the next two things, then we'll wait till tomorrow when my pen is working, hopefully. A real quick little theorem here. This is pretty obvious, I would hope. The first one is all right angles are congruent. That should be obvious because aren't all right angles 90 degrees? So if they're all 90 degrees, then they have to be congruent to each other. And then the last theorem, this one I would like to draw out. And if not, we can just do it tomorrow if I can get this to work tomorrow. But what this one is saying, if two angles are congruent, so they have to have the same degree measure, and they are supplementary. So not only do they have to have the same degree measure, but they also have to add up to be 180. If that's the case, doesn't that mean they both have to be 90 degrees? That just means they both have to be right angles. Okay. All right. We're going to stop there. We're close enough, and my pen's not working, and that's as far as first period got anyway. But if you look tomorrow, we will then pick up. We'll start doing some problems with these where you got to kind of know all of this stuff to kind of be able to work our way through this. So if you haven't gotten the homework done from yesterday, get that uploaded tonight before midnight. And then that's all we got. If you have any questions on your quiz, if you have looked it over, we do have a couple of minutes here left in class. If you want us to look at anything, you're more than welcome to stick around now. If not, see us in intervention period if you have questions. And if you think you can retake that and do well, see us in intervention as well. Okay. If you're good, you can take off, and we will see you tomorrow. Okay. Have a good day. What's that? Oh, yeah. Good call. Yeah.